Good Monday morning. It's Monday morning motivation time. Chris and Ash here. How's everybody doing today? Looks like the chat has been a little bit lively here for the last few minutes.
Ooh.
Yep. So we're gonna see.
They're already alive and awake on a
They're
Monday?
already ready to go. Apparently.
Wow.
So here
You guys
we
are on
are. Yep. We're gonna get everything all set up. Looks like we got 7 people watching. We've only got 4 thumbs up. So make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Let us know you guys are here. Tell us where you're watching from. Let us know what's going on. And we will jump in.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Janelle is here, says hello, Chris, Ash, and Mel, and everybody. I've enjoyed Ash's wedding posts. I hope the storm didn't cause any problems. It did.
Yeah.
But we made do. We'll tell you guys about that today. Janelle also says, P.S. loved getting a peek at your cupcakes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, thank you. I think everybody thoroughly enjoyed those. And I am not a real and perfect carnivore, as you all know. So, yes, I did eat one, and it was perhaps the best I have ever made. So
it was delicious. Yeah.
They were amazing. So I don't recommend you guys do that, but we were celebrating a wedding, and I make the choice sometimes to do that when we celebrate with things like that. Yeah. So
we're real people.
Yep.
It happens.
Yeah, we're real people, and I don't think I'm somehow going to carnivore hell because I ate a cupcake. So there we go.
No.
Margaret Chase is here. Hi, Chris and Ash. I'm looking forward to being motivated. When fall comes and we lose the light, I feel a little sad. You know what, Margaret? I'm right there with you. I sometimes feel a little run down when the light is getting shorter and shorter every day too. And maybe we can talk about a couple of things we can do to try to combat that a little bit. So
sounds great. Yeah.
Janelle's saying hello to Margaret. If you experience SAD, which is a real thing, you may want to check into therapy lights. They really help. Yeah, that is one option for sure. And my dog is over here sniffing the light on the floor. Melody, lay down.
Come here, baby.
Get out of the way. I'm gonna kick you out of the room if you can't behave yourself this morning. She's really in a mood. We've been dropping her off with the dog sitter too much, and so she is really in need of attention.
Attention.
Yes.
That's it. Come here, sit down.
So let's see. Janelle says, my husband thought light therapy was a bunch of baloney, but now he makes sure to use it every morning since his office has no windows. He never sees daylight.
Oh, that's rough. I've been there before. Yeah, no windows is not good. Not good at all.
Yeah, I used to work the evening shift from 3 to 11 p.m. and I would tend to sleep through the first part of the day. And then from 3 to 11, I would be working. And a lot of that was either in a patrol car or inside of an office. And so I didn't get very much light. I saw a little bit more than he did probably, but I didn't get a lot. And it was rough.
It's hard. Yeah,
it was really rough. Hard. When I switched to the day shift that I was on, it was real early for a musician because I was working 7 to 3, which means I was up at 5 a.m. And then we were also out playing shows until like 11 or 12 at night. So that was rough. Yeah. But it was definitely better than doing the late night work and then never being able to do music. So
very true.
But yeah, Margaret says she does use one when winter comes. That's good. That is good. Let's see. We have my comment section jumped on me here. I hate when it does that.
That does to me during live stream sometimes. Like I'll have like something right there and then it jumps and then I'm like, I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah. Mrs. Newton's Big Family Big Noise is here, says, hi guys.
Hello.
It's good to see you. Yeah. And 22Q Cat Lynn is here.
Lynn, good morning.
Good morning all. So glad to see your happy smiling faces, Chris and Ash. Well, thank you. We're glad that there are smiling faces that can be seen after the last few days. We're exhausted. So we're glad that we're trying to get back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying hello. Janelle says, unfortunately, I will be away the next 2 weeks and not packing my computer. I'll be missing my motivation and recipes. I'll have a lot of catching up to do.
Oh, we'll miss you.
We will miss you, but I'll tell you what. Sometimes going away for a couple of weeks and not having your computer can be a blessing.
It's a really good thing.
So so I don't know where you're going or what you're doing, but hopefully it will actually maybe be nice to have that technological break because I think we all need that from time to time, and unfortunately we don't get it. nearly as much as I think we probably should. Cindy is here, says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, hey, Cindy.
Good morning.
22QCat says Janelle will be missed in the chats. Jolene is here. Good morning and God's blessings from Connecticut. Well, the same to you. Hope you guys are doing good up in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And Carnivore Mama is here. Hey, El Dorado, Arkansas. That's a cool name for a town.
It is.
El Dorado, Arkansas.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We're glad you're here, Carnivore Mama. Patricia Hoffman is here. Says, Margaret Chase, vitamin D drops might help. I have SAD also, hoping a carnivore diet helps. So, yes, we will talk more about that since we have a few people talking about it here, but definitely vitamin D. And we'll also talk about the carnivore diet and what it's sort of done from our standpoint and that kind of thing, because I definitely get the SAD thing going on in the fall and the winter. My dad is here. Hello, Dad.
Hey, Tony.
Good morning. Robert Han is here. Good morning from PA. Hello, Robert. We're glad you're here. And Janelle says, too many people to keep helloing, but hello to all. Yes, we are growing. We're up to 22 people here this morning already. You guys, make sure to hit that thumbs up because we're going to talk about some stuff. And I think maybe this will be a good one. Maybe this will really help you guys get motivated this week. Richard Williams is here. Good morning, neighbors. Well, good morning to you, neighbor. We're glad you're here. And Maritza Garza is here. Good morning, Chris, Ash, and Mel. Good morning, Maritza. We're glad you're here. Yeah. DJ Magic Man is here. Says, morning, all. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Jeff Simmons is here. Good morning from Washington State. Hello, Jeff. You're a long way away from Nashville, my friend. Long way away. And I am Jazzy Jude. Says, good morning from San Diego.
My fellow California.
Yes, we got California in the house. We just had Ash's family all here, and they're all from California. So we are just feeling all the California vibes this week.
Sure are.
Karen Kruger is here. Says, good morning, Chris and Ash from Northeast Wisconsin. Well, hello to you, Karen. And let's see. I think Addicted to Antlers is here. Says, a little late. Well, that's all right. We're just getting going. And Kelly Sue 3 is here. Says, good morning. Well, good morning to Kelly Sue.
Yeah.
22QCat says, I worked nights in a hospital pharmacy for 16 years. No daylight all winter long for me. Plus no windows, but I survived. Now I'm definitely a day person and grateful I can get all the light I can.
Yeah.
I am feeling it.
Makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to talk about a couple of things before we dive into what I was going to talk about today. Let's talk about this whole light and light therapy and vitamin D and carnivore and keto and positivity and the sad feeling of fall and winter and all of these kinds of things as the light starts to disappear. Let's just talk a little bit about that. Now, I am not a doctor. I do not give any medical advice. We are not qualified to do any of that. So if you are looking to change something about your life or your diet or supplement something or do something to try to improve this kind of stuff, this is not medical advice. This is purely my own anecdotal things that I have noticed, the research that I have done of things online, and just some of the information that I have heard others, especially like the doctors and the different gurus talking about, our personal experiences, that kind of stuff. So consult the doctor before you do anything, if that is something that you choose to do. But here's what I will say about the sad feelings and the vitamin D and the carnivore diet and all this stuff. I used to really, really struggle with things in the fall and the winter, with there being little light and the emotional sort of like of this whole thing. It was really bad. And what I have noticed for myself is there's a couple of things. Number one, on a carnivore diet, when you are eating that much meat, you will get so many nutrients, and that protein and that fat is so good for balancing your hormones and helping you with all of your vitamin needs and all of these different kinds of things. When you use a carnivore diet, you tend to be so much more resilient to this. And if you're on keto, try to go protein and fat heavy. Like, try to lean in the direction of carnivore and get that red meat especially in there, because I have noticed when I eat red meat, I do not feel sad.
Yeah.
It just, and I believe there's a vitamin D thing going on there. I don't know exactly all the science, and it's been a long time since I've watched a video that talks about specifically why this works, but I do know that when you go heavy on the meat, especially what you're doing with carnivore, you are getting so much of those kinds of the nutrients that it really makes you more resilient to that whole I'm not getting vitamin D and I'm not getting any light, and it's it's a whole thing I'm going through. You are so much more resilient to that. So that definitely helps. So eat beef, eat bacon, eat butter. that's the first thing I would say about that. The second thing is, yes, you need to take a vitamin D3 in the winter time. Dr. Berry talks about this, how in the winter and even the fall, depending on what latitude you're at, you may not be getting enough sunlight, even if you are spending time outside. So take a vitamin D3 supplement, and you can get drops, or it's hard to get the gel capsules because they tend to oxidize, I think. But, look for a good one that doesn't have weird additives, whatever. And I don't have a particular brand I would recommend. I just kind of go on Amazon and I do research and figure it out. But if you're going to take vitamin D3, you should probably also be taking vitamin K2, because D3 is great, but K2 helps you absorb and bond that D3 into your cells properly. I don't understand exactly how that works. I'm not a doctor or a biologist. I just know that everyone who knows what they know says take vitamin D3 and K2, because the two in combination makes a big difference. So we will be stocking up on D3K2. Sometimes you can find them where it's actually a combo, where it is D3 and K2 all in the same pill or the same drops, or whatever it is you're looking for. So definitely try to get that vitamin D3 K2 thing going on if you feel like this is something you struggle with. The other thing, red light, bless you.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Red light in the morning. When you get up in the morning, and I know this is so hard to do, especially in the fall and the winter, but if you can, now, if you're stuck inside work somewhere and you can't take a 5-minute break or something, or a 10-minute break or whatever, to get away from your desk, I understand this may be difficult, but if you can, in the morning, in the fall and the winter, when that first light is coming out, try to go outside for a few minutes and stand with as much of your skin exposed as you can get exposed to that red light. Yes, it might be cold, whatever. It's just one of those things we just deal with. Sometimes that cold helps wake you up, but getting red light first thing in the morning, it helps your energy levels and it helps you get going. And it's basically like those light therapy things, like the red light therapy that people do. It's the exact same thing, except it's the best source of it because it's the sun, and it's free. Instead of paying thousands of dollars for red light therapy machines, you can have free red light therapy from the sun. Now, not everyone has that option, and so I understand some of the different kinds of light therapy machines can be very helpful. But if you can, go out and get that first light of the day, which is a little bit easier, I think, in fall and winter, because the first light of the day doesn't happen as early. So I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to be able to do that. So if you can do that, go do that. And even if it is overcast, those red light waves are still coming through the clouds. The red light is actually more penetrating than some of the other light rays. So it's really good to get out there and stand in that sunlight as it's first coming up and try to get 5, 10, 15 minutes. And, if you're someplace where you can, go out and use skivvies. Go out in as little as you possibly can to get your skin exposed to that light, because it just helps. It helps wake you up. It helps with your energy. It helps with a bunch of different health things. There's a bunch of research out there on this, and it is a free way of doing that. So, any thoughts on happiness in the wintertime? Anything that you do?
Chris probably knows this about me. I actually think that my favorite time of the year is actually the fall.
Yes.
Big time. I love the fall. For me,
she tells me about pumpkins.
Yes.
about 7 times a day right now. When we walked into the grocery store and they had them for the first time, it was pumpkins.
Yeah, I get excited. No, well, for me though, a big reason that I think I enjoy the fall so much is one, I think my brain just switches per season, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And I think, we talked about last week, like tips and tricks to staying positive.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I know in the spring, everything's going to start to bloom. And there's certain things I enjoy doing in the spring. I have things I like doing in the summer, like going to the lake and, stuff like that when it's hot. But I actually find it really hard for myself to get out here in these southern summers where the humidity is so high. I'm miserable in the summer. Like I think it's terrible. It's also a time of year. I'm seeing everyone throwing pumpkins on the screen. Thank you. You guys are making me very happy. But for me, the summer is so hot and it's so humid. And it's also, if you're a touring musician, a lot of your shows happen in the summer. Yeah. So for me, that's a really busy time of year. So I love the fall because my brain, though, just kind of has to switch. So I actually make an attempt, though, because it does get darker sooner.
Yep.
I actually make a thing to go to bed a little bit earlier and I wake up earlier. I find that if you can start your day earlier, even if it's by 30 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, however early you can get up, it makes it seem like there is more daylight. You're also a lot more productive. Then I kind of find activities that kind of keep me active. So we were actually just talking about looking at some trails and stuff. Because the weather, it's like, man, I can throw on a sweatshirt and now it's, not hot and humid. I could go actually enjoy being outside. And I think there's something beautiful about the leaves changing colors. Right. Things like decorating your house with pumpkins.
Yep.
I'm all about it. But I can do projects around the house and I can clean and I can decorate and I can, clean out the closet and drawers. So I'm staying active, even if I'm indoors. And then I'm making time to go outside every single day, waking up earlier. I also think of activities where it's hard for me to find time during the spring and the summer to actually do things like read books.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing for me to do. So I just ordered a new book literally yesterday. And so I already have 3 books where I'm like, man, every day I'm going to sit down and read for 30 minutes. And since I, can't go outside if it's raining, it's like, I'm going to use my mind and exercise my mind and read. So hopefully that helps. But yes, I also enjoy candles and pumpkins and I get very happy this time of year.
Yep. I see. We have, of course, Janelle and Pamela both put up pumpkins because they obviously love pumpkins. Carnivore Mama put up deer. Says my favorite, get my carnivore freezer full. Yes. Deer, amazing for, first of all, venison, especially if you're going out and hunting. That is wild game. That is raised on the land, and that is some of the highest nutrition in terms of red meat that you can get. And there's no weird things added into that. That is all organic, natural, fresh, wild off the land meat.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about things that's going to be high in vitamins, high in nutrition. That kind of red meat is amazing. So if you have access to going venison hunting, or I see someone here says elk, any of that kind of stuff. If you can go hunting to get your ruminant animals,
do it.
Woo, that is great.
You're outdoors. You're getting the ruminant. Come on.
Yep, you're doing all the good stuff. So, Patricia says that's really interesting that red meat makes a difference. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Dr. Berry has a couple of videos he's talked about it. And again, I don't remember exactly the science he said of why. I just took away from it that it was a good thing and it was helpful. And I was like, this is why I feel so much more positive when I eat carnivore, because I'm getting massive amounts of red meat. I get so much red meat. I eat enough red meat for a standard American diet person. I eat probably enough red meat for 4 of them, 6 of them, maybe more. So it makes a huge difference.
A great Chris Cooking Nashville recipe that they could use with beef, elk, deer, whatever.
Yeah.
And, they could put pumpkins everywhere and, the whole scene is your carnivore chili.
Yes. I have a really, really tasty carnivore chili recipe that I thicken with egg yolk. And it is wonderful. It is actually, it's my sister-in-law, my new sister-in-law.
Yep.
And my new sister-in-law that my youngest brother-in-law just got married, and his wife, Jay, that is her favorite chili. She's not a carnivore. She's not a keto person. She's a standard American diet person. And when they come over, she's like, will you make your chili? She loves my carnivore chili. So,
but that's such a great way. If you're going hunting or whatever, and it's just warm and hearty, lots of meat, you can light a candle.
Well, and the nice thing is too, when you get a deer or something, and you get all of those cuts, that it's they can get dry real quickly if you try to do steaks, or if you don't know how to cook them the right way, or you just get lots of trimmings. It comes off the bones, whatever. You have all of that you can turn into ground deer.
Yeah.
And when you have ground meat like that, it is so much easier to keep it tender and juicy. Also, because of the spices, you can customize that in chili depending on how dirty or not dirty you want to be carnivore wise. If you're one of those people that's like, I find venison a little strong, gamey flavor for your personal taste, chili is a really great way to have it because it blends in with that gamier flavor of venison. I love that flavor. Ash is not a huge fan.
Yeah.
So we don't tend to eat a lot of venison. If we do, I'm usually the one eating it, and I make something separate for her because she just doesn't care for the gamey venison flavor. But I really, really enjoy that. But if you're one of those people like her, like she will eat venison chili if I make it with different seasonings and stuff. So let's see. Janelle says, still working on my husband to turn him to the carnivore side. He had been brainwashed about meat being bad for kidneys, etc. Yeah, a lot of people have. And Dr. Berry has great videos on meat and kidney health and like meat and heart health and like all these different kinds of things. Dr. Philip Ovadia also, he did an interview on Dr. Berry's channel, which is how I heard of him. Dr. Ovadia is a heart surgeon and talks about how meat is not bad for your heart, and he can explain why. He's got a bunch of great info out there. Fantastic. So if you have someone like Janelle's husband who feels like meat is bad, those are great videos. Be like, just watch this video, go look at the research, because that's a great thing about Dr. Berry videos. He attaches all of the research in the show notes, so you can go click it and you can read the study that proves what he's saying. It's incredible. It's why I love Dr. Berry and his channel so much. I have learned so much and literally saved my life. So huge shout out to Dr. Berry for all of the work he does, and his wife, Nisha, Nurse Nisha. They are amazing, amazing people. And let's see who else we got here. Addicted to Antlers says going elk hunting October 12th through 16th. Well, good luck. I hope you bag a big one, because you get one of those and that's meat for a long time. I love elk too. I don't know if you've ever had it, but
I haven't, but I would be down to try it.
I've had like elk sausage. Oh, so good. So good. Carnivore Mama says, indeed, the best. Cindy says, best thing for me is the fall foliage. It is much better in New England than here in Kentucky, but still present. We love the leaves changing. And in Tennessee, we get really good leaf changing things going on because it's so green, especially when you head towards East Tennessee. With all the mountains and everything, it's really beautiful. Speaking of East Tennessee and the Carolinas and all of these places over there, guys, throw out some prayers for the people on that side of the country, because after Hurricane Helene, however they were saying it, after the hurricane went through, there are so many people over there who are struggling right now. They're still without power. People have lost their homes. Entire cities have basically been washed away in certain areas. A guy that we actually played a show with in North Carolina, Ash was texting him and he said they're still without power. They have no food because all the food is spoiled, but they're doing okay and they're trying to make it through, and they're trying to remain positive. But he's really struggling because he's actually had some friends who have died, and he has a bunch of friends who have all lost their homes, and there are a lot of people over in that area struggling right now. So just send out some thoughts and some prayers for those people. And if you find a way where you can donate or you can help or you can send something, do some research and make sure it's a legitimate thing. But please do whatever we can to just try to help the people out over there. So a lot of stuff going on. So
absolutely.
Lynn says, love the fall so much. I think some of that is the childhood memories of the smell of the leaves. Back then, we would jump in big piles of leaves. It was wonderful. Great memory.
Yeah.
I haven't jumped in a pile of leaves since I was probably 9 or 10 years old, but I remember it was a blast.
Yep.
It was a blast. Lynn also says, yes, your chili is bomb. Yeah, it is very tasty. It's very tasty. Cindy says, Dr. Ovadia was on a live stream with me also. Yes, I seem to remember seeing the thumbnail. And then I guess I think I forgot about the fact that you did one with him, and then I never got to go back and watch it. So if you guys want to see Cindy's live stream with Dr. Ovadia, you can go to Cindy DeMange's channel and go check that out. He has such good information. He's such a wealth of knowledge. Janelle says, we also watch Dr. Ken, and I love that he supports all his claims with data. Totally agree. He is an OG. I was going to say something else, but YouTube might not like me. He's awesome. He is awesome and very, very cool. I respect so much the work he does in the space because of the number of people he has helped. It's amazing.
Absolutely, yes.
Margaret says, Dr. Barry and Nurse Anisha rock. Yes, they do. Yes, they definitely do. I'm very much looking forward to being at Keto Palooza. That'll be the first time I actually get to meet them in person.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just looking for handshakes and hugs and just a chance to actually thank them in person for everything they do. So if you guys did not know, I think they just opened up the private community, the Dr. Barry private community, to new members again, because that closed down for a bit. And that is now opened up again for new members to join. I actually do a once a month live stream in there with food related type cooking things just for private members of the tribe because I'm part of the tribe. So if you guys are not part of the tribe, I think it's like $5 a month. Like it's not much. And for the base level membership, but you get some really good support and you get access to some special members only things, and it supports the work Dr. Barry and Nisha are doing, and it's just a really cool thing. I love being a part of the tribe, and it is a massive honor to get to go into the tribe and do the special members only live streams that we get to do. So and Lynn says, I loved your live stream with Dr. Ovadia, Cindy. I got to ask a couple questions and it was awesome to get his answers. That's so great. That's so great. Cool. Lots of prayers I see going up, so we appreciate that. We were very blessed that the wedding went off really well. We were walking through the rain and we were dealing with some little flooded spots at the back of where the venue was, and so we were having to drive around different places, and it was in several different buildings, so we definitely got wet, but we made it, and the couple was very happy. So, so all was well. Maritza says, my mom soaks deer meat in milk and it takes away the gamey taste. Yeah,
interesting.
I've seen people that do that. They use milk as a way to soak some of the gamey flavors out of things. There's some other meats that I've seen people do that with as well. That's a really cool technique. Might be worth a try if you guys have game meat like that and you're like, it's a little strong. Might try doing that. Soak it in meat. See what you think.
I like it.
Patricia says, I'm in Lexington, South Carolina. Lots of cleanup after the hurricane. Yeah. We're glad that you are here and you're doing well. And I know there's a lot of cleanup to do. So
yeah.
Jeff Simmons says, PhD rules. Yes, the PhD group is amazing. DJ Magic Man says, don't forget to like and share. Yes, thank you guys. Hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, tell people we are here. We're trying to grow this Monday morning thing to where we can have a really great community. And here's the deal. If the Monday morning thing is doing really well and lots of people are showing up consistently every week because they love this kind of thing, if this Monday morning thing goes off like this, I'm thinking maybe it might be cool to sometimes do other live streams on the main channel with kind of a similar sort of a thing. We've talked about how we're going to do like Q&A live streams over there. But we would also love to, throw in elements of like these kinds of things, like the motivation and supporting people. I think the way that I got into really interacting more with Dr. Barry and Nisha and the community there was through their live streams. And I saw how successful their live streams were. And I was like, we should do a cooking live stream. And so that's kind of what kickstarted all of the things that we do live stream wise, because I saw what they were doing, how they could impact people. And then I saw, here's an opportunity for us to impact people in a very Chris Cooking Nashville way.
Right.
And so that's what led to us doing the kinds of things we do. So if you guys like this, share it, tell people we're here, bring them on a Monday morning if they're available, or have them come on the other channel and request when we do Q&As or when we do other live streams, have them request we do stuff over there, because truthfully, live streams are pretty easy for us because I don't have to do editing and filming and setting up lights and all the different kinds of things that make video editing and doing like the recipe videos such a labor. Like I do as many of those as I can, but we can only do so many because it takes so long to put them together and then put them on the channel.
Right.
And it just takes time. So if you guys like this kind of stuff, drop it in the comments, let us know. Maybe we could add some more of these in, especially once we get back from our California leg of our tour, which is coming up here in a couple of days. We leave. And we're going to be out in California for about a week playing a number of shows out there. If you guys are in California, go to ashtaylor.com and you can see our show dates. And if you want to come out and see us at a show, we're going to be in 4 different places playing shows out there.
Yeah, Paso Robles, Oakdale, Clovis, and then Bakersfield, California.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we're gonna leave this Wednesday, and we will be back the following Tuesday at like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. It's gonna be a lot. So that Tuesday, I have not decided yet. I may or may not do a live stream that night, like cooking live stream. If I do a live stream, it would be something very simple, or maybe I would do a live stream like a Q&A thing, but I wouldn't even bother cooking. I'm not really sure what we're gonna do.
We'll figure it out. I also do think that we were talking about, though, on the different channels, maybe going live, like while we're in the airport.
Yes.
And kind of giving you guys like behind the scenes.
Show you what it's like to be on tour.
Yeah, exactly. So we may go like live from the airport or live in the car. So just be on the lookout. We'll go live though and keep everyone posted. But,
absolutely.
It's exciting. I feel like our diets and the mental clarity and the energy it gives us allow us to go do what we love to do. It's a good thing.
Absolutely. Jackie is here, just joining from the Oregon coast. You guys are looking great. Well, thank you. You know what? That's a really great segue for you to say that. Let's talk about looking great, and let's talk about what I had put on here today. So if you are just tuning in, or even if you have been here from the beginning, you probably saw the title of this was Just Take One Step Towards Being Better. And I put on the thumbnail of this, not the Monday morning motivation thumbnail. I put the thumbnail of this as a before and after picture of me. It's the picture of me in the white shirt at the zoo, and then one of my professional photos that we had done at Cahoots, and me with my guitar. And I'm not at my ideal body weight yet. I still have weight to lose. I still have things to improve, but you can see by that picture the massive change that has happened in my body. And it's not just the massive change you can see on the outside. It is so many changes on the inside as well. Just my metabolic health, my mental health, all of these different things. So there are so many things in me that have changed. However, there are still many things I want to continue to improve. And I was thinking about this, thinking about what I need to do. How do I move forward? How do I go from here? Because we started the channel and I started documenting my health journey, my health vlogs. I've lost about 130 pounds. That varies up and down, depending on what day it is and what's going on in our lives and, this different stuff. And sometimes I can feel like I'm swollen and I've gained a little weight. And sometimes I then feel myself, whoosh, it all comes off and I'm feeling better again. It's a whole up and down journey. And so I was thinking about, what do I do to start moving very intentionally again in that positive direction? How do I up the game? How do I step to the next place? And this is kind of the conclusion that I came to, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and I'm going to let Ash chime in on how she thinks about these kinds of things. I made the progress that I made by taking one step at a time. The first thing we did was we went keto. And then I decided to try carnivore. And then I went really strict carnivore. And then I kind of went off the rails and I had to get it back under control. And then I went back to carnivore because I knew it worked. Then when I started doing carnivore, I created my YouTube channel. And I made the challenge of myself going 365 days carnivore without a cheat meal. And I achieved that. And in the midst of all of that is when the last big chunk of the weight loss really happened, where I had said, at the end of that, it's like, I've lost 130 pounds since the beginning of this whole journey. Like it's incredible. So many other things have changed and so many things have gotten better. Since then, most of my effort has been put into my channel and my recipes and focusing on growing Chris Cooking Nashville. I ended up taking a step away from having a day job because we've finally grown the channel to where I could do this full time, which then frees me up to be able to do more of the music stuff so that Ash and I can now be on tour, and we've done music videos and we're releasing new music for, she's doing all her Ash Taylor stuff and I play lead guitar and do the band leader thing for her. So we're traveling and we're recording and we're doing videos and all this kind of stuff. And in the midst of this, I've also been stepping up my video game one little piece at a time, all this kind of stuff. The common theme of everything across that, as I was thinking about that, is I take one step towards whatever it is I'm working on being better. And then when I get that done, I take another step towards that or something else. And then I take another step, and then another step, and another step. But the only thing I'm thinking about that whole time is one step. I'm not thinking about, I've got to lose 130 pounds. I've got to lose, all of this inflammation. I've got to go carnivore for 365 days. I've got to become perfect at this. I'm not doing all that simultaneously. I'm taking one step, achieving it, and then picking another thing. So I have been very focused on Chris Cooking Nashville, and I have been very focused on upping my video editing game, and we're doing more live streams, and we've been touring, and there's all these different things. So I want to share with you guys a new step that I've taken and why. And this doesn't seem like much of a step, but believe me, it is going to result in good things. I bought a set of resistance bands to start exercising. Probably 3 to 4 days a week. I'll be doing that based on because now I've lifted weights in the past, and I actually was really into weights at one point. And so I took a class on weightlifting in college, so that I could really get deep into proper form and all these different kinds of things. So I know how to do weightlifting. But I told Ash, I said, we do not have time for me to join a gym. I don't want to spend the money to join a gym. I don't have time to be driving to a gym 3 to 4 times a week right now. I don't, because it would be, there's one right up the road here. I'm not really sure how much I would trust it. So the nearest gym that I would probably actually trust is a good 15 minutes away, which is not that long for someone who comes from the country like I do. But still, 15 minutes there, 15 minutes back, at minimum, probably 30 minutes of a workout. So there's an hour of my day just in going to the gym. And at this point, we're basically getting up in the morning, having coffee, and I'm working until 9 or 10 o'clock at night most days, trying to get video editing and all these things done. So it's just not a thing that is easy to fit into my life. So I was trying to figure out, how do I start upping my physical activity, especially because weight training or any kind of muscle building activity, as Dr. Berry says, eat meat and lift heavy things. How do I lift heavy things when I don't have the ability to go someplace where I have heavy things that I can lift? And I don't have free weights here in the townhome. I'm not going to buy free weights. I don't have the money for that. We don't have the space for free weights right now. So what would I do? Someone suggested on one of my videos that I'd offhandedly mentioned weight training, and they said, you should get resistance bands. And I thought about that, and I thought, it's actually a really great idea. So I bought a set of resistance bands with the handles that you can attach and, whatever. So you can do full body weight training style workouts with resistance bands. So I'm going to start adding in resistance band workouts into my daily routine. And hopefully, 3, maybe 4 days a week, I'm going to kind of sit down and come up with a plan, like a body training plan of how I would want to do this. And I'm not trying to kill myself. I'm going to come up with kind of how the routine goes, and I've got some ideas on this, but I need to just do a little bit of research and see if there's anything different than my weight training exercises I used to do as compared to resistance band. Is there something else I need to add, or things I don't need to do, or whatever, as it would compare to the free weight plan that I used to do? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to start doing full body workouts with resistance bands, and I'm going to try to intentionally take one step of adding resistance band training into my week. That's it. That's my only step. I'm not going to be jumping on the scale every 3 days trying to see if it's working. I'm not going to freak out about it. I'm not changing something crazy in my diet. My diet is what it is. Some days it's really strict, clean carnivore. Some days it's real dirty carnivore. Occasionally it's more keto or ketovore. And every now and then I have a cupcake at my brother-in-law's wedding. That's what my diet is. That's what it has been. And that's exactly what I do. I feel good. And if I really am okay, I got to take another step to lose weight at some point, then I will. And I'll tighten that up when that seems appropriate. I'm not trying to do that on top of doing resistance bands. I'm taking one step, which is resistance bands, and I'm going to incorporate that. And after I've done that for a month or two, and I've kind of just got, a habit going on, then I'll take a look at another step. What is another step? But that's a key to this for me. You have to do something for at least 2 weeks before you can even begin to start calling it a habit. I try to make good choices habitual. If I make doing the right thing for myself a habit, I don't have to force myself to do it. I just do it. So if I do it one thing at a time, I build the habit. Well, then I get really good at it. So like YouTube is a great example of this. When I go on YouTube, and most of you probably don't know anything about this because as a YouTube viewer, unless you're creating your own videos, you would never know anything about this. I didn't until I had a channel. Behind all of the videos, there's not just the filming and the editing, there's the lighting, there's the sound design, there's all of that stuff. All of that was skills I had to learn over months and months and months, and I'm still working to get better at it. It is a full-time job. Behind all of that is understanding the YouTube algorithm and why people respond the way they do and why videos work the way they do and what gets better. So that was a whole thing I had to learn and study, and I'm still trying to get better at that. Along with that, there's also understanding metadata and what goes into when I create a video. How do I go in and put metadata, which you guys can't see unless you click on a certain, like you have to know how to go into a computer and you have to know how to go to a certain website and pull up like the code that's in that web page in like a viewer so you can see what all that code is and you can see all the metadata, but you have to know how to read all that. I mean, it's crazy the level that you can get to where you understand these kinds of things. So what I do is I'm now going in and I'm getting better at this. I'm doing metadata, which puts information in the actual data that exists behind the curtain, as it were, of my videos, which Google and YouTube can read, which helps Google and YouTube know what my video is about so they can get it to more people. So it's a whole thing. It's a business. It is an intentional growing thing. And I have done this all one step at a time, just a little piece at a time. But I keep doing it and I get to a point where it's a habit. So now every time I sit down and I do a video, I filmed it, we have a whole process. I edit it, I have a whole process. Then I take that file and I do the same thing with the thumbnail picture. I create the thumbnail, I have a whole process. I get the video, open it up, and I edit all of the metadata. I have a whole process. Then I copy all of that information over to the thumbnail. I have a whole process. And then I upload it in a certain way and I have a whole process. And then I market it in a certain way and use Facebook and Instagram and all of this stuff to put it out there. And I have a whole process. And I have made each one of those things habitual. I don't think about them anymore. I just do them. The same thing with the way I cook keto and carnivore foods, the same thing with the fact that I've done a carnivore diet, the same thing that I know when I go out to a restaurant, what I'm going to order if I'm, being real strict. Like, how do I do that? The same thing when I play guitar, the same thing when we write songs, the same thing when I perform. It is habitual use of good choices and techniques and learning. It is making improving your life a habit on a daily basis. That is what I'm doing. That is the one step towards better. I make one step, I make that a habit, and then it becomes part of my life instead of being a step.
Yeah.
And once I make it a habit and it's a part of my life, then I can take another step, because then I'm still only focusing on one step while retaining all of the processes that I have previously done. And that is how you change your life a little piece at a time. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm working on. And that's how this is happening. And that's why buying resistance bands and incorporating resistance band training into my daily routine is one step. And when I get to where that is a habit and I'm doing it every week and I just kind of don't think about it and I just do it, fantastic. And that's going to be easy with the resistance bands, hopefully, because I can pick those up. I'm going to keep them here in my YouTube studio, sitting in the closet or something, and I can go over and I can grab them and I can do resistance band training standing here in between editing videos, or before or after I'm editing, or maybe while I'm editing, like, take a break, stand up, do an exercise, go back to editing, stand up, do the next exercise, go back to edit, whatever it is I've got to do. I can do that here so I can figure out how do I efficiently use my time and make it to where it is as convenient as it can be for me to take that one step. And then once I've made it a habit, it gets a lot easier.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm doing this. And that's how I do this one piece at a time, which is why I've, in the last year and a half, achieved my final thing of, losing about that 130 pounds. The whole thing didn't happen in the last year and a half, but a big chunk of it did. But getting to that amount of weight loss, creating a YouTube channel, creating a second YouTube channel, getting 100,000 subscribers, which led to this little silver play button on the wall right here. Like getting out of a day job because we're financially stable enough with YouTube that we can then focus on the music. Ash has been able to do all of this new musical stuff. Like I've created all these recipes. Like what I'm able to do is not because I'm special. It's because I'm doing it one step at a time, relentlessly pursuing improvement, relentlessly pursuing what it is I want every single day out of these things in my life. And we've talked about that. You guys, if you've been here, you've heard me say that. Relentlessly pursue improving whatever it is you're trying to improve in your life. And when you fail, get up the next day and try again. Just refuse to quit. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm taking one step with some resistance bands and I'm refusing to quit. And I'm just going to keep incorporating these kinds of things and start working on more body recomposition, because I've been so focused on YouTube. It's time to go back and focus on making the next step in health improvements and body recomposition. And I'm not going to lie, I have been under a lot of stress lately. We have been so busy, so short on sleep, and I've struggled with some things with that. And my diet has not been perfect, but it hasn't been terrible either. It's just maybe a little more keto a few days. Nothing real crazy, but I can definitely tell my cortisol levels have been up, and I can tell that I've been swollen and holding on to inflammation. The other day, I had a hard time getting my ring to slide off my finger, and I actually had to buy a new one of these back, I don't know, 6 months ago.
Yeah,
something like that, I guess,
yeah.
because it had just gotten so loose on my finger. It's not an expensive ring. I love it, but it's not anything expensive. And so I bought a new one that was a smaller size, and it was great. And then it was even starting to get loose enough where I could just slide it on and off with pretty little effort. And then the other day, we had been to the rehearsal dinner the night before, and it was the day of the wedding, and I went like this, and it was just stuck. And I had such a hard time getting it to come off my finger because my hands were so swollen. And so I've been holding on to inflammation, and it's just been a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I've noticed I also get like itchy, dry skin, like on my scalp and sometimes little bits on my face and stuff. Really related to stress. I've had a little bit of that too. So cortisol and just stress and not enough sleep and all these things. So, I need to intentionally make the effort to try to improve what I'm doing and start working on the next step of my body recomposition and getting myself, moving forward in that health journey a little more intentionally, because I've been kind of just maintaining, and that's cool. But now it's time to hit it again, and it's time to move forward and make another step. So that's my one step. That's the first step of many, but that's one step.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quit preaching. I'm going to let her talk.
No. I am very proud of you, and I think it's really great. I just wanted to, I guess, maybe say something being your wife and like saying it, because you were talking about how, like the weight loss stall or, these different things. But I think, to be fair, I think Chris and I, but you have been under a lot of stress, I think, honestly, for the past 4 years, since COVID. And so it's like, we've lost all this weight and we've done all this stuff, and we've been very consistent in being somewhere on the proper human diet spectrum. Especially Chris, who is just like, his self-control just amazes me, blows me away. I mean, he did 365 days, no cheats, carnivore, just blows my mind. But I was going to say, though, it's like we lost everything during the pandemic. If you've been here a while, you've heard our story. We then both worked multiple jobs to try to build everything back.
Yeah.
And so he was doing that. He was at a day job where it's like, being an armed security guard, carrying a bulletproof vest, gun, the whole kit and caboodle, lots of stress, trying to figure stuff out. At the same time, you were growing your YouTube channel, you're creating recipes. I mean, he works like so incredibly hard. And it was just, I think, trying to build back, your life and take care of your family. So you were doing the best you could, though, with your diet.
Right.
And then you left your day job. You became an entrepreneur. your papa passed away.
Yep.
And now we make our living full time from music and YouTube, and we're so grateful.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we're also still in an adjustment period.
Yeah.
So now, though, I feel like you're at a point where it's like, yeah, you know what? I'm not maintaining anymore. It's like I now have the energy back in my life to where I can prioritize my own health. So I'm very proud of you.
Well, you're very
sweet. Proud of you, and I totally agree. But no, I really don't know if I have anything to add to that. I just think it's super great, and I think I would just challenge the folks watching, like, put it in the comments. What's one thing that basically you feel like you would like to do? Like, what's your one step?
Yeah.
Is it resistance bands? Do you maybe want to take a walk every day?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And then we've talked about it before. I feel like I'm kind of the weird, really good at getting us organized, type A personality in the relationship. But just some advice that I think has really helped me. I am a really big person on just understanding that you're not going to be able to accomplish everything you want to do in a day. And I think when you pack your day so full that you're really like overwhelmed and stressed out is not healthy. Again, raises your cortisol. So if you're trying to figure out, like, man, when am I going to start this healthy habit of resistant bands or taking a walk every day or whatever it may be, maybe create a daily routine for yourself and put that new thing that you're trying to do in the morning. And that's kind of where we were talking about getting up earlier. Mm-hmm. So, like, for me, something that's really important is I have to have coffee or else someone's going to not want to be around me. So it's like, I get up in the morning and I have a whole routine. I tidy up my house because I like my workspace to be nice and clean. I take the dog out. I feed my animals. I sit and I have my coffee with my husband. I post on social media. It's like, hey, that needs to be done. I'm going to get that done. And then for me, going on a daily walk is like very, very important. I do that first thing in the morning, like after those other things are done. Yeah. So because I think what happens is, like, you're like, oh, I need to, go for a walk or resistant bands, or I want to do this thing.
Right.
But then it's like, because you don't have a daily routine and structure, that new good habit that you're trying to build, it can be hard to figure out where you put it in unless you know ahead of time. So just something to kind of think about that hopefully helps you guys as you're trying to figure out, like, what do I do? I have a big rule that, like, I don't watch TV or even turn it on until I am literally done with everything that I needed to accomplish that day. So I don't watch that much TV, but like when I do, it's like right before bed when I'm like, kind of relaxing and coming down. So just kind of be on the lookout for, distractions, and whatever it is you're trying to add into your life, share it in the comments, and then maybe try to figure out, man, where in my morning routine, so I'm getting this out of the way first thing in the first part of my day, can I add it? And so that way you're actually successful and actually implementing it and doing it, because I promise as the day goes on, the tireder you get, the more you don't want to do it. So but that's it, honey. But very proud of you, and I'm excited to see what you're going to do with it.
Yeah. So. Well, I will make sure to keep everyone updated on how that goes. And I agree with Ash. I think it would be super cool if you guys have, this is my one step that I can take. Drop it in the chat right now. Let us know, what is your one step you can take? What is your one step you are going to take? And put it out there. Like say it. Because when you write it down, it makes it a lot more real than if you just kind of hold it in your head. And this is why this community is here. We support each other and we celebrate each other. And we encourage you when you feel like you're not succeeding. So drop in the chat. What are you guys going to do? You might give us a cool idea of something we could do as well.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Jackie says, let's see. She had joined from the Oregon coast, trying to find where we are in our chat here. 22QCat says, love all the lives, and I'll be here every single time I can. Well, we appreciate you very much, Lynn. You have been here since the very beginning of our channels, and I don't know what we'd do without you. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pamela says, I might be able to see you in Bakersfield.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I live in, I think that's South LA.
Oh, yeah, not too far. Yeah, Pamela, we're playing in Bakersfield, which is actually my hometown. We're playing there on Sunday, October 6th, so this Sunday. And if you go to my website, ashtaylor.com, you can grab tickets there, and there's like all the information. But yeah, if you're available, we would love to see you.
We would love to see you.
We are huggers, so come on now.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. Cindy says safe travels to California and have a great time on tour. See you both at KPL.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you.
we are looking very much forward to Ketopalooza. If you guys are going to be at Ketopalooza, put it in the chat. Let us know you're going to be there because we would love to meet you guys.
Yes.
As soon as we get back from California, we got like a day or two to get our feet underneath of us and for me to edit a video, and then we got to go right back to the car and head to Kentucky. So we will also have the little golden retriever with us in the hotel room. So if any of the fans of Melody the golden retriever are going to be there, you just might get a chance to meet her. So
there you go.
TB Living Free says leave any comment and thumb it up for the algos. Yes, thank you guys. Please chat and please hit that thumbs up button if you haven't. Robert Hanna says it's 15 for the lowest level in the PhD community for new members. Okay, so I know that they have completely redesigned the channel and the way, or the community and the way it works. So yeah, so I guess Robert says it's $15 a month, whatever that new member price is. It's honestly, with the resources you get, it's worth so much more. So
it's just an investment in your health.
It's really, seriously, it's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Lynn says doing anything 365 days in a row is pretty amazing. Look at you with carnivore for a full year. Impressive, sir. Well, thank you. It was really important because I had a severe carbohydrate addiction and I had to break that hold on me. And what's really cool is now if I start craving something that's carb related, or like if I've had something that's too keto or even standard American diet, like a cupcake, if I start to actually crave something and I know I'm not hungry, but I'm craving it, I immediately recognize that as addiction. And I go, nope. And I eat a whole bunch of beef and eggs and I squash it.
There you go.
And it's given me control back in my life, which is amazing. Jackie wants to know, were you eating dairy during your 365-day focused carnivore? I asked because I'm currently omitting non-butter dairy to see if that breaks my depressingly long stall. Jackie, so I did have dairy because this kind of goes, again, one step at a time. For me, the step of 365 days carnivore to get away from my carb addiction was my whole focus. Trying to do that and then also saying, but now I got to do no dairy, and now I got to do no this, and now I got to do no that. That's the kind of thinking that starts to pile up, and then you can't handle it because you're not slowly working your way into making things habitual. Breaking a carbohydrate addiction was one humongous achievement, and trying to take out dairy, which I love, would have made that far harder for me to hang on to. So if you are at a point where taking out all of the dairy is the next step you need to make, I think that's fantastic. Just make sure that's not one step on top of 5 other steps that's going to make it a lot harder for you. Just my advice. But if you make too many steps all at the same time because you're trying to force the scale to move and force your body to do something because you want to see that number change, that is not setting yourself up for success. And I understand, I know weight loss stalls are annoying and they feel like we're not succeeding. But if you are eating the right things, your body is healing and your body is doing other things. And the scale is one out of about 1,000 different things that you need to be considering when it comes to your health. So if your only thing you're focusing on is how do I make the scale move, you're missing the point. Now, if the scale is not moving and you feel like, okay, everything feels great and I'm healed and I want to try to step up my game and make it a little better and see if that starts to happen, I think that's great. And there's nothing wrong with checking the scale from time to time to make sure that, you're keeping yourself honest, but do not become hyper-focused on it because it is very easy to do that. And if you become hyper-focused on that number, you will miss the boat.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more important things and your value has nothing to do with the number on that scale. Just my advice. Jeff says, currently starting with resistance bands. I would love to see your routine. Well, yeah, maybe I'll do a video on this channel once I kind of get into a routine and just kind of show you guys what it is I do and how I do it.
Absolutely.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Cindy says, congrats on the resistance bands, Chris. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think it's a good step in the right direction. And, making the intentional choice of I'm going to spend the money on this and I'm going to do this, it makes me feel like I need to do it.
Yeah. I
really need to. It's a commitment. So, and that's why I told you guys about it, because I'm committing to doing it and I'm putting it out there in the community for you guys to know I'm committing to doing it. Jackie says, I'm reading Smarter Not Harder by Dave Asprey. He's talking about research supporting super focused, short time interval intensive training, strategically being much more effective than hours at the gym. Yes, there is a lot of research out there that says high intensity training for short intervals that you have timed is far more successful than the ridiculous, laborious hours at the gym thing that we have been taught our whole lives. There's just nothing that supports it that's good. And actually, in fact, it wears your body down too much, and it actually breaks you down. And it's kind of like overuse and stress that your body does not need. And our bodies aren't really designed to be effective in that way. So
it kind of goes back to what we were saying about like starting in the morning and building a daily routine to knock stuff out. Because it's like, you know, I have an app on my phone, and maybe we could even put a link in the description to it, called Structure. But basically it's synced to my phone, my Apple Watch, and my calendar. But it literally goes through my daily routine from this is the time that I wake up. And every couple of minutes it will tell me like, hey, you put in here, you want to work on resistant bands for, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it literally will buzz and go, time for you to do that. And so you do it, and then it moves on to the next thing. But it's kind of that building those good habits and doing it in small intervals, not to, but just daily doing it a little bit at a time.
Yep.
Creates greatness one step at a time.
One step at a time. Let's see. Janelle says, bless your heart. That's why I would never have a YouTube channel. It's people do not realize how much of a full-time job it is, because it's not like you just record a video and post it. Like that is like 5% of what it takes to run a YouTube channel.
I will say, I didn't really know what we were getting into when he came to me a year and a half ago and was like, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not complaining, and I love every second of it. And we so enjoy every bit of this. Like, you guys have no idea. It's amazing, and we appreciate all of you. But I think, honestly, that YouTubers, Chris included, I think he probably works about 60 hours a week.
Just on this.
Not
including the other things we do.
Because it's the recipe creation, the experimentation, the filming, the editing. It's the time to set up live streams, the time to actually do the live streams. I mean, we've already been here an hour this morning. That doesn't include the time it took to set it up or take it down. The social media that you have to have, all the marketing, all the time that it takes him to research and study on how to do things. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, I actually think it may be one of the hardest jobs. Yeah.
I really think that if people understood what YouTubers went through, there would be a lot more respect for this in the general population.
Yeah.
Because it's, I mean, it's not like we're doctors and trying to save lives with, emergency surgeries here. But the amount of work and training that you have to go through to figure out how to do this successfully. You see someone who has a huge YouTube channel that is very successful. I used to look at that and think, man, that must be nice. Now I look at that and I go, man, they must work hard and be smart. Like, I just have a total new appreciation for it. So it's really amazing. I'm very blessed that I get to do this, but it is a huge undertaking. So it's fun, and it's a passion project at the beginning. And then when you get to where, it grows and you can really do this, like it is a wonderful way to make a living, but it is so much work.
It's no different than starting a small business, basically. And I mean, literally, it's like, that's all we are, is just entrepreneurs. I mean, that's really it. But
that's why when people say I should start a restaurant, I'm like, with what time and money?
Yeah. It took 60 hours to make this one video.
That's right.
I don't know, man.
That's right. Let's see. So we have Margaret saying, my one step is taking a short walk every day.
Love it.
Perfect. That is a great example of a one step. That is amazing. Maritza says, I plan to walk while I do my morning prayers.
Ooh, yeah.
Excellent. More walking. That's great. Janelle says, steps, cutting back dairy and trying to be more carnivore, still battling oxalates. Yeah, the oxalate thing is interesting. Go watch Sally Norton. I'm sure you probably have, but if you haven't, go watch Sally Norton. She has a lot of great info on that. Janelle, here's my thought on that. Do one of those at a time. So maybe try to be more carnivore first.
Yeah.
And then once you get that more habitual, then cut back the dairy as a second step. Just, I mean, you do what you want. It's just kind of my initial reaction to that. If I was going to be doing that, I would first go more carnivore and then I would cut back the dairy.
I would agree with you.
You could also do it the opposite, but I think it's easier, in my opinion, to cut back dairy after you've already gotten used to being more carnivore. Because then you're kind of already more carnivore. And then you start peeling the dairy back, and suddenly it's like, I'm still carnivore, but now I'm using less dairy and more of like the clean carnivore stuff. Lynn says, it makes a difference. I've recently made the rule for myself that I don't even pick up my phone in the morning until I get the important things to me done first.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
loving it.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And that's a great one step. Don't pick up that phone until great one step.
Yeah.
Maritza says, even if it's inside, I'm going to walk due to my seizures.
Oh, that's great.
Yep, that's great. Yeah. And that's what we're saying. Like, make it convenient. Make it the easiest accessible thing that it can be for what it is you're trying to achieve. Like, figure out how to make that work. It's amazing.
Yeah, good for you.
Addicted to Antlers says that's great advice from Lynn. And Maritza says she shared on Facebook. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lynn says, I'll just have to deal with my KPL envy, but I will live through all of you with your videos, live streams, photos, etc. Yeah, we're going to be doing some fun stuff. So,
yeah.
Tracy Reyes here says, going to start journaling what I eat and how I'm feeling to make better connections. Need to lift heavy things, working out just how that will look this week. Thanks for the encouragement. Well, Tracy Ray, you are very welcome. I think the journaling is a wonderful thing. And needing to lift heavy things and working out how to do that, I totally get it. So, resistance bands might be a good option for you, unless you have a gym nearby, or if you live somewhere like an apartment complex that has a gym or something like that can help. But resistance bands might be kind of cool for you as well. So Patricia says a video on resistance bands would be awesome. Cool. Nice. Well, I'll do some research on how I'm going to do it. And once I kind of get it ironed out, I can do that. Jackie says, I hear you on doing all the things and getting too many variables, muddying water of the health plan. That's me. Listen, Jackie, I understand. I am too. I have learned the hard way. If you try to do too many things at one time and then you start to struggle, one, you don't know what it is that's causing your struggle. And two, you don't know how to fix it. And you end up just quitting all of them.
True.
And you just go back to what was your habit, because you can't make any of those things a habit when you do them all at the same time, because it's just too much stress. A habit has to become an easy thing for you to do when it becomes habitual. So one step at a time. This is not a race. You're not racing anyone else to the end of the weight loss carnivore, whatever it is your goal is. You're not racing anyone to that finish line. One step at a time, and take your time. Just do it right. So we're here for you. Lynn says, back to the phone thing. This morning, I actually forgot to go pick up my phone because I was doing other things and staying focused on those things. Who am I? I laughed. That is exactly what I'm talking about. When you make it a habit, it becomes so easy. You do it and you don't even think about it. And that is how you make an actual permanent life change. It's amazing. Lynn says, I appreciate and respect all of the YouTube creators. I've always said that. Thank you for what you do. Well, we appreciate you, and we are happy to do this. Jackie says, I did 3 months of CCN carnivore. I love that. In January, no scale move, so I went back to keto. September 1st, started app tracking macros, carnivore, and intermittent fasting. 3-week, no scale move. Now cutting dairy. Sigh. Okay. Jackie, I'm going to say this because I love you. You are trying too many things too fast. CCN carnivore is great. And 3 months without any movement on the scale, I get that. Kelly Hogan had a scale that didn't move for over a year.
Yeah.
And she just kept doing the exact same thing, and it finally did move. So it can be a lot longer than you think it can be, because, again, your body has a lot of stuff to do. But here's the thing. If you did CCN carnivore in January, no scale move, and then you go back to keto, well, now you've reset that. So carnivore, even if it's my kind of CCN dairy heavy recipe version of carnivore, is very different than keto. So if keto wasn't moving it, but then you went carnivore, but then you went back to keto, we don't know whether CCN carnivore would have moved it or not. But if you go back to keto, it's kind of like almost giving up on the carnivore thing and going back the other way, because now you've increased your carb count again. So then when you do September 1st, app tracking macros and carnivore and intermittent fasting, even if the scale did move, you don't know which one of those things did it. Honestly, if you're doing carnivore, counting macros is a waste of your time, unless you've been doing carnivore for a couple of years and you're still not seeing anything change. Then maybe counting your macros, because you're trying to figure out, okay, am I overdoing something I don't know about? Then it makes sense. But if you're tracking your macros, you have to have a clear understanding of what you're tracking and why. I don't bother tracking macros because I'm not going to spend the rest of my life weighing out every single thing that I eat, and macros are only so accurate to a certain point anyway. Now, if you're doing keto and you're really trying to track your carb count, I kind of get that, and carbs are really the only macro I ever worry about anyway. If I'm hungry, I try to eat more fat and make sure I get plenty of protein. If I'm like, I'm feeling kind of really run down, I feel like I'm probably not eating enough, I need to eat more. If I am doing a lot of heavy stuff like lifting, moving, exercising, whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm feeling really weak, I'm going to up my protein. And if I'm craving things, I really go for fat. Like I'll eat chunks of butter and extra salt. And that's as much tracking as I do. I don't think about it any more than that. Now, I'm not saying I never will, but again, one little step at a time. So if you said, hey, I really think I need to track my macros because I think maybe I'm getting more of such and such than I think I am, great. Don't change anything else. Just track your macros and figure out, are you in fact doing something you didn't realize you were doing? That's great. But if you track your macros and you're intermittent fasting and you're going to carnivore from keto, you're doing so many things simultaneously, you're not going to be able to keep up with that most likely. I mean, you might be super self-disciplined and you might be able to make that happen. I don't see very many people that can.
No.
I couldn't. There's no way I'd be able to incorporate all of those things simultaneously and be successful. I would have to practice one thing at a time. I'd go carnivore, and then I would go to this next thing like intermittent fasting. And then if it still wasn't working, then I might incorporate the macro tracking. But if you try to do too many things at one time, it can make it real difficult. And if it does work, then you're not really sure which one it was. So it's a tough thing to do this kind of stuff. So also 3 weeks with no scale move is really not very long. 6 months with no scale move, that's maybe a little bit longer and something that I would personally think about. But 3 weeks with no scale movement, when I was losing my 130 pounds, I had 3 weeks with no scale movement from time to time. Mm-hmm. I just did. I've had a lot longer time with no scale movement since then. I'm not really panicking about it. So Jackie says, male metabolism versus female objectively sucks. Hubs and I both went carnivore September 1st. He's lost 20 pounds. I've lost maybe 3 pounds, which is nothing in the big picture. Okay, actually, I disagree with you. 3 pounds is a huge deal in the big picture. And the fact that you're comparing your weight loss to his is the philosophical core problem of the way you're looking at this. And that is what's making this so difficult. Your 3 pounds should not be compared to his 20 pounds. You just said it sucks that males have a different metabolism than females, but then you compared your 3 pounds to his 20 pounds as proof of that. So if yours is objectively different than his, then his shouldn't matter. So what you're doing is you're holding yourself up to his example as a guy who has a male metabolism and then saying, and that's why it sucks that I'm not losing more weight. So you're actually causing your own issue. The thing that you're saying you're not doing is what you're doing in that statement. And it's very easy to do that. And I'm not in any way criticizing you or lecturing you for it. I'm helping to reflect that back to you because I need Ash to do these things for me and I do these things for her, where it's like, hey, you just said the very thing that you said you're trying not to do. And it's a thing that you have to understand. And you're right, your female metabolism, it works totally different than a male metabolism because the hormones are all totally different. And you are going to need to have someone who understands female hormones and female metabolism. Nisha is a great resource for that. Yes. She has helped Ash a lot. I've asked questions in like her live streams and in the private group and was talking with her about like different things Ash was dealing with. One in particular, she was really struggling with intestinal issues and hormonal issues when she went carnivore the first time. And she was really struggling. She was in the bathroom constantly, every beat. And I had the same issue, but mine cleared up after a few weeks. Hers was just getting worse. And Nisha, I asked the question in a live stream when I was still working the day job at that point, and I asked a question in a live stream, and she said she might need to back off on fat because for women and the hormonal issues and her intestines and all this stuff, she may really need to dial back on that fat right now, especially cooked fat like the bacon and the grease from beef and all that stuff, because women can sometimes be susceptible to that. So I told Ash, she tried it, she backed off, and what was it, 3 or 4 days, and it all started to clear up?
Yeah, it's true.
It's different for men and women. And so if it's different for men and women, you have to figure out, well, what's different for you, and not hold it up next to what's going on with your husband.
I have to say, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And also, Jackie, like, I totally get it though, girl, because like when Chris, there were times in our weight loss journey where Chris would lose a bunch of weight and I would be like, what am I doing wrong? And then what I kind of like realized though is like throughout the course of it though, it's like my body wasn't losing as much weight as Chris, but my body was healing itself. And so I think with being women and how our bodies are designed to bear children, it's kind of frustrating, but we have so many things going on inside of our bodies that men don't.
Yes.
And so it's hard to compare yourself to your husband where it's like, how did I lose 3 pounds and he lost 20? Well, maybe you only lost 3, but that 3 pounds is a big deal.
Absolutely.
Also, what did that do to like your hormones and stuff? You know, when I was at my heaviest, I literally stopped having periods. And when I started keto, I would lose, I think it was the first month or 2 on keto, I had lost like 30 pounds. And then from that point on, I only lost like 2 pounds a month. But my hormones started to rebuild. My skin cleared up. I started to have periods again. My hormones became like, there's so much going on in a woman's body that if you lose 3 pounds, that is a massive victory. Don't be discouraged. It just means that your body is healing. And as it feels good about healing, it will, you know, let you lose weight. But like my weight loss has been stalled for a while. That we've talked about, but we were talking about, I think it was last Monday. I was telling Chris, I said, you know, I'm not going to worry about it, but I've kind of been stalled for a while. It is what it is. I feel like I'm doing the right things, but I feel great. And we looked at a picture came up on our TV. We had a photo pop up for my birthday last year. And then my birthday was this past Tuesday. And so we literally looked at a photo side by side from a year difference. And the scale has not changed. I weigh the exact same amount, but holy cow, my face looks completely different.
Both of us look totally different.
Totally different. Like you can tell that my body, like the structured and stuff is like my face is so much thinner. You can tell like my eyes are brighter. My skin is better. I mean, I look like such a healthier version of myself, even though that scale says the exact same number. So all this to say, hang in there, girl. You're killing it. But I understand, but there's really no reason to compare ourselves to our husbands. And, you know,
there's not only no reason to compare yourself to your husband, there's no reason to compare yourself to anyone.
True, because your body's different. Your body may be totally different than mine. Mine is different than yours. And that's why we're here as a group to support each other. But I know girls, it's hard, though, when you see someone else losing weight, but just...
It is. This is also one of the reasons why I say do not focus on that scale number.
No.
There's nothing wrong with using it from time to time to track and just keep yourself honest, see where you are. But if you are so focused on the number on the scale, you are going to completely bypass 1,000 other things. And I see Jackie also says she's tracking her macros short term on advice from several, including Kelly Hogan, mostly because I'm worried I'm not getting enough protein. It's hard to get enough protein on OMAD or 2MAD. Okay. So in that statement, let's unpack that real quick. So I'm tracking my macros short term. Okay, cool. Sometimes tracking your macros short term to get a feel for what you're doing, I think that's great. That also combined with intermittent fasting, also combined with carnivore, all three together creates a very different scenario though, because now you're not tracking your macros on what you were doing. Now you're tracking your macros on something brand new. So now you're not really even sure. Now, if you tracked your macros and said, I wasn't getting enough protein, so then I went carnivore, and so now I'm tracking my macros on carnivore to ensure I'm getting enough protein, that's great, but that's 2 steps. And then if you say I was doing that and I still wasn't seeing results, so then I started adding intermittent fasting and I was doing all 3 things because I one at a time added those into a habitual routine, that's 3 steps. And if you go a minimum of 2 weeks, it takes 2 weeks to develop a habit, absolute minimum, psychologically speaking. There's studies on that. So that's 6 weeks right there. And that's if you do it as fast as humanly possible. I don't think you can do that as fast as humanly possible. So if you did that, let's say a month of tracking macros, and then you went carnivore to increase your protein, well, there's another month. And then that's still not working. Well, now I'm going to do intermittent fasting. There's another month. That's 3 months in before you would have even the base level of information of those 3 things that you just said, I did it, and in 3 weeks I didn't see the scale move. So that's why I'm saying this, because I think what I'm seeing as an outsider who's not in your subjective headspace where you're thinking about this, as an outsider, I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, I mean, that's a 3-month process to even incorporate it into your life.
Right.
And then another 3 months before you would even know if it was working. That's the way I would look at that just as an outsider, because I'm not emotionally invested in the number on your scale. So that's what stands out to me.
I also think Dr. Berry, when he talks about people starting keto and carnivore with proper human diet, he says 3 months, 90 days.
Yep.
So, I mean, even he says, like, you have to do it for this period of time, or else you're not really going to know the effects of it.
Right.
We also have talked on the channel quite a bit before about not doing, like, year-long goals because they're too much and it's hard and whatnot. But we do quarterly goals.
Yep.
So again, every 3 months.
Yep.
So maybe pick one thing to try for like the next 3 months, and that's all you do. You just try that for 3 months and you see what happens.
Yep.
I also think too, just talking about like when I went to carnivore and all this stuff, I think your body isn't having time to understand what you're doing, and so you're almost probably shocking your body a little bit, like, you know, if you're doing this and you're doing that, and you're only doing it for short little bits. That's kind of what happened with me, because I was doing kind of like keto, and, you know, we're really open and honest on this channel. I would occasionally have like a cheat meal, like this guy right here, self-control. Me, once a month or so, I'd give myself a little treat.
Right.
And then I went carnivore for a month, and my body just doing that did not handle it well. So if you're doing all those things, you're probably just shocking your body, and you're probably even stalling because it doesn't know what to do. And being a lady, it's like, if you think about survival and the fact that we carry children, your body, when it's in shock like that, is going to hold on to stuff because it's like,
it doesn't know if it might need it suddenly.
Yeah, you may need it, and so therefore it's holding on. So I would pick one thing for 3 months, and I think that's exactly why Dr. Berry says 90 days.
I'm, as a guy, I can't speak to women's health from any kind of personal experience. I can only say the things that I hear other people talk about, specifically things like Ash has told me, or people online like Kelly Hogan and Nisha and Steak and Butter Gal Bella, and, you know, all these women. I can only discuss what I've heard them say. But I will say, from what I have seen just as an outside observer, you know, Dr. Berry says like 3 months to get a real good understanding of carnivore for women. Sometimes I think it's more like 6.
I think just in 3 months, you kind of just get the basics.
And then another 3 months builds on that, so you can really get a good view of it. I mean,
it really is,
and, you know, again, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm a guy, let me tell you how your female body works. I'm not in any way stepping into that mess, because I don't have any right to tell you what to do with your body as a woman with these things, because I don't understand what it's going through. But just as an outside observer, with what I've seen women talking about in the community, on YouTube, as creators, with Ash and her own life, I'm like, I mean, it almost seems like 6 months is a much better picture than the 3 months that guys can kind of do. Like, about 90 days into something, I pretty much know what my body's going to do. You know, like, it'll surprise me every now and then, and it may take longer, but usually within about 3 months, I know what's going on with my body as a guy, because our body just kind of does that. Women, I know, don't necessarily have that luxury. And, you know, but there again, that's when it's like, okay, then don't do things as a woman based on what you see a man's body doing. Treat it as its own experiment, its own N=1 process. And you will find a much clearer answer for you personally. And it doesn't matter what anybody else's body is doing. It only matters what yours is doing and how you feel. And again, your value is not based on what that scale is saying. So whether it's 3 pounds or 300 pounds that you lose, if you feel good and you're doing good things and your body is healing, it really doesn't matter. You know, I mean, I know we want it to change. Like, I want my weight to all disappear, and not weight, fat. I want my fat to disappear, and I want my muscles to grow bigger, and I want my bones to be good and healthy and dense, and I want my organs to be really beefed up and, you know, good and doing their thing and strong and whatever. It's a whole process to get there. So I totally understand. So now I will say, Jackie, if you're having a hard time getting enough protein on OMAD or 2MAD, then you probably need to not do OMAD or 2MAD and just focus on the protein first. And then you can figure out, okay, well, now that I know what the protein is doing in my body and I know I'm getting enough protein, if that is then not working, and then, you know, a couple months later, I decide, well, now I'm going to do OMAD or 2MAD. Well, how much protein do I need to get into each of those meals? Because now I know my body is benefiting from that much protein. And then I can work on getting that much protein in 2 meals instead of 3, or in 1 meal instead of however many. Do you see how I'm saying that's a process?
Right.
Like when I went carnivore, I did not do OMAD. When I went carnivore and I was like, I'm going to do 365 days of carnivore, I took breakfast with me to work. I was making my crustless quiche. I was taking wedges of that with me to work every day. And I would have lunch and I would have dinner. And then I got to a point I wasn't finishing that crustless quiche in the morning because I wasn't hungry. So then I ended up stopping. So then I would have lunch and I would have dinner. And then I got to a point I didn't want lunch anymore. So then I was having my coffee and then I would just eat dinner. Like I went into OMAD over a period of about 6 to 8 weeks naturally because I just wasn't hungry anymore. And so I didn't try to like make that happen. It just kind of happened. And that was a whole process that kind of took care of itself because I wasn't forcing it to happen. I was just letting it happen. So if you want to do OMAD or 2MAD, great. If you want to do carnivore, great. If you want to increase your protein and track your macros to make sure you're getting a certain goal, great. That's 3 different steps. And if you treat each one as a separate step, it will make it much easier to incorporate all 3. And then you can keep them long term to get that 3 to 6 months of each of those steps to see if it's really going to make the difference you think it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you walk up to a panel on some big computer system that has a bunch of buttons and you don't know what any of them do, and you just start pushing a whole bunch of them, and then something happens that you wanted to happen, which one of those buttons did you push that made that happen?
Right.
But if you push a button and you wait, and you do it one at a time, and you wait for the effect of each one, you know exactly which one made the difference. And that's how you can really clearly learn what your body is needing. So again, as a guy, I can't speak to a woman's body and what it's going through, especially with the hormones that are so different and what your own personal experience is. But that's my initial just outside reaction as a person who's not in any way invested emotionally in the numbers on your scale. That's what I see. And I think maybe that is a way that maybe we can support you and help you. And if there's anything we can do, I'm not a doctor, but if there's anything I can do to help, we are here for you. And you've got this. You can do this. So you absolutely can do this. If Ash and I can do this, anybody can do this.
Truth.
So, Jackie, thank you for sharing, and thank you for letting us pick apart your life a little bit here. But we just want to help you, and we just want to help you realize how to be the best version of yourself that you can be and achieve the goals you want.
Absolutely.
And let's see. Cindy says, "I get that men lose faster than women overall. Frustrating to us women." Yeah, I get it. But again, just don't compare yourself to guys because
it's an apple and an orange.
It is. You're a different creature. We might all be human, but women and men genetically have very different things that are going on inside their body.
Yeah.
That's the reason there are doctors that specialize in men's health, and then there are doctors that specialize in women's health.
Yeah. Because
it's 2 different things. Yes, and they're talking about how CCN is Chris Cooking Nashville.
Yeah.
Yep, that's me. Lynn says, I bought a weighted vest and really enjoy that now. Not gonna lie, I can't do much weight, but I'm trying. The vest is cool and has 21-pound weights, so you can personalize it to your needs. That's really cool. Really, really cool. What a great way to just increase your effort a little bit on walking or any of that kind of stuff that you're doing. That's very great. Cool. I know I had a friend in college who also used to wear ankle weights all the time because he played roller hockey. So he would wear ankle weights all day long so that as he was walking around, he had extra weights on his legs that would feel more like his rollerblades.
Very cool.
And so then it built his leg muscles up to where he could skate faster and more comfortably. So just different things like that. Jackie says, you're so right on all points this morning. Well, we're just here to help. So we are just here to try to encourage you guys, and we're not experts on anything. We're just real people who are trying to support you guys and tell you what information we know so you can go research and make good decisions in your own life. Reese's Cluttered Kitchen is here, says hello everyone. Hello,
Hey.
Risa. And Jackie says also so appreciate Ash's female perspective too. That's why I asked her to do these live streams with me, because she has a totally different perspective on all this than I do. And it's very valuable. She's also very smart.
That's not true.
Yes,
but no, it's just teamwork. I agree though. Men and women are different, and so I honestly was more than happy to stay behind the camera. But Chris, I always say Chris would make a great girl dad one day, because he's very like aware and very like, I don't know what I'm talking about here because I'm not a woman. Can you come give me perspective on this, and like how does that work? And he does a lot of research and is a very good listener. So but thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Addicted Antler says Chris and Ash make a terrific team. I agree. I would not be able to do any of this without her. I was watching one of my videos the other day, and it was before she was helping me film, when she and I were both still doing day jobs, and I would get home before her, so I would film, and I would have to move the camera for every single shot myself. And I was like, my goodness, things have gotten so much better since my wife got involved, which is not surprised because that's how everything in my life is. As soon as she gets involved, it gets better.
You're very sweet. Vice versa.
Well, I don't know about that. Margaret said, Chris, Ash, and community, I must go. It was a pleasure. Until the next time, hugs. Well, Margaret, I'm sure you're probably already out of here, but we appreciate you and hope you have an amazing day.
Thank you.
Reese's Cluttered Kitchen. The last 2 weeks, I have been trying to gain weight. Need to gain 12 pounds. Anyway, I'm tracking my foods, adding fat and protein and calories. Weighed myself today. 1 pound up. Better than nothing.
There you go.
That's fantastic. Risa, the other thing I would say, because Dr. Berry talks about this, if you're trying to gain weight, obviously you're probably not wanting to gain fat. You're wanting to gain muscle and bone density and all of like the healthy tissue, lots of protein, and lift heavy things, because that builds not just muscle, but it also builds bone. I don't know if a lot of people realize that, but when you are lifting heavy things, and especially if you're like doing impact exercise, like jumping or, those kinds of things, that builds bone density. And it also builds those connective tissues like your tendons and all those things, because as the muscle grows, so does all of the density of your bone and your tendons to support that muscle.
Yeah.
So when you work all that out and you have all the protein, which is what all of those things are built from, is protein. When you have all those building blocks, it helps you gain healthy tissue. So upping your protein, upping your fat, that's fantastic. Just up your lifting of heavy things. And whatever, like Dr. Berry says, whatever is heavy to you, if the book on the counter is heavy to you, go lift it above your head 10 times. And you just incorporate little things like that in your day. Just bounce around, be physically, active, the best of your ability, whatever level you can do that. Fat and protein. There you go. Gain healthy weight. It takes some time, especially as a woman. Again, there we go with that, the female body. Like, women do not gain muscle and bone and all that stuff as quickly because their body works a little different. They don't have all the testosterone that guys do that goes, with your healthy tissues like that. So, it's for women out there, they have to be patient when doing this kind of stuff. But, whatever's going on in your life, just add those little things in and keep at it. So good for you though. And 1 pound is fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's great. Because especially that's probably a pound of like muscle,
right? Which
is a big difference than a pound of fat.
Yep.
So Lynn says, baby steps, you'll get there, Reese's Cluttered Kitchen. Absolutely. Maritza says, so much great information and motivation. Well, thank you, Maritza. Pamela Vale says, due to holidays are upon us, how do you protect yourself from the treats and all? Good question. I have my answer, but do you want to?
I'll let you go first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's my answer to that. Treats are a recreational drug. Sugar of any kind, carbs, it is a recreational drug. So is alcohol. Okay. Now, there are more illegal and illicit versions of recreational drugs that we do not partake in, but they are all recreational drugs. Are they good for you? No. Are we as humans capable of making the choice to have them if we want for the effect of them? Yes. So what it really comes down to is it's up to you. Are you okay with using a recreational drug in celebration on a holiday? And if you're not, that's totally fine. I didn't last year. because I was doing 365 days. So I didn't do that. This year I probably will, because I am okay with the occasional recreational drug use of sugar and carbs for specific situations, like having a cupcake at my brother-in-law's wedding. That is a very intentional choice. I'm not recommending anyone else do that. I'm saying that is what I do because I am okay with it. It is no different than having an alcoholic drink for me. If you're an alcoholic, you should not be drinking a drink with alcohol, even as a recreational drug, because it's a bad idea. I would not say I am a carbaholic. I do think I had a very unhealthy relationship with it, and I say it was a carb addiction. I'm going to be very careful with that. And if I start going back in that direction and I need to be like, hey, I can't do this, then Ash will help keep me accountable and I won't do it. But so far, I have noticed I can have sugar, I can have carbs as a special thing, like once every few months. And as long as I go right back to being a carnivore the next day, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I don't have the issue of the cravings anymore, but that's an individual thing. So it is an individual thing, whether you want to do it or not. If you do not want to, well, then the question becomes, are you okay with keto versions of things? If you're okay with keto versions of things and you say, well, that's not a big deal, maybe you loosen up just a little bit, enough on the holidays to have, like, I have a keto pumpkin pie recipe on my channel. Maybe you have a keto pumpkin pie instead of a regular pumpkin pie. Or, maybe you have keto cookies or keto muffins or, any of those things. And if you're like, I just don't think I can do any of that, then what you do is you do what I was doing when I did 365 days carnivore, and you pregame. Before all the treats are there, you pump yourself full of as much beef and eggs and bacon and butter and pork ribs and whatever else it is, whatever your favorite proteins and fats are. You pump yourself so full of those things that you're like, if I eat another bite, I'm going to puke.
Yeah.
And then when the treats are around, you are much less likely to say yes to them. Not that they're not still tempting, but you're so full, you don't have that I'm hungry and now I'm surrounded by things I shouldn't eat. Because that's two different things. Being hungry and being surrounded by treats is way different than being full and being surrounded by treats. It is much easier to say no when you do not want any of it because you're already full. So if you're just like, nah, I can't do any of that, pre-game, crank those beef and eggs and bacon and butter and whatever else it is you like from the carnivore side of things as much as you can. And I mean, don't make yourself sick, but make yourself very stuffed, because you're fighting against the idea of cravings of things that your body is more addicted to than it needs. So fight that by making sure you have no room for it. That's what I would say. And Janelle says, treats, make them as clean as you can and eat them sparingly. That's pretty much what we do. So do you have any thoughts on that?
Everything that you just said, because I think every person's different. And like, where you, like last year, you went 365, no cheats, even through the holidays, and you needed to do that. This year, you're in a very different, right. You're still very self-controlled. I was going to say, though, for me, kind of what I do is, for example, like, I try to find things like, I think keto treats and all are great, but I, for one, don't have them in the house every day during the holiday season. And so I plan, like, for example, if you celebrate Halloween, I asked like a month ago, I told Chris, I said, hey, can you make a big pot of carnivore chili? And he's going to make like a keto chow shake for me. And we're going to watch a movie and it'll be a whole thing. And it's like, cool, that's how I'm going to celebrate. My sweet treat is a keto chow shake. I'm not going to have candy. I'm not going to have it around the house all year long. Like, no. Thanksgiving happens one day out of the whole year. I'll probably eat what I want on Thanksgiving. But
we'll crank through some turkey before we hit the sides.
Exactly, though. So it's like, put the protein first, and that's the first thing I eat on my plate. And then, like, instead of like chips and dip and all that kind of stuff, we've started doing more like charcuterie boards for appetizers, like meats and cheeses, and so we eat that. So
I also might have a video coming out this coming Saturday on how to make carnivore crostini that you could use for dips. Just
throwing it out there.
Just saying.
But just things like that, though. So it's like, you're kind of like, for breakfast, have bacon and eggs. And then when Thanksgiving dinner rolls around, you're not starving yourself all day, and now you're eating 5 helpings of mashed potatoes. So it just depends on where you're at. I mean, I personally, I also handle having a little bit more cheats than like per se Chris does.
Mhm.
So I think you're right. It just kind of depends.
Yeah.
But I think if you can plan ahead and like you in your head know this is what I'm going to have this day,
Yep.
and the next meal or the next day, I go right back to doing what I was doing.
Yep.
Even around Christmas. Like I know, for example, Christmas Day, this is what we're having. I'll eat the protein first, eat the rest later.
Yep.
I'll have a couple treats and cheats. The next day we go right back to doing what we're doing. So if you can plan ahead though, and then that way you're not finding yourself in a thing where it's like, oh, I'll just have one Christmas cookie.
Yep.
Oh, well, now I bought a box and they've been here for the whole month and I've eaten one a day. It's just
Right.
plan ahead.
Find your favorite carnivore thing that is super high protein
Mhm.
and super high fat and very low or zero carb. Pick your favorite thing. Steak, beef patties, eggs, beef jerky that you make yourself. I don't care, whatever it is, and just make it the best it can be. Pick where your one favorite thing is and put a massive amount of that in your fridge.
There you go.
Have it ready to go. So every time you're like, oh, I really like that treat, go have that carnivore thing as much as you want.
I also, this cannot be for everyone, but for myself, in the times where I have partaken in a cheat meal,
Yeah.
I think sometimes it can be a good thing because I find that like on holidays, say if I have like, you know, a treat or something like that, that I've planned and I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
I usually feel terrible the next day.
Mhm.
And so what I've noticed through the years that like I've done keto and like, you know, some carnivore, but mostly keto,
Yeah.
it's like, if I have like normal mashed potatoes, they don't taste as good as they once did.
Mhm.
And so then I find myself really not eating more. It's almost like my taste buds have changed.
Yeah.
And then if I do have, you know, like regular mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving dinner, I'll sit and I'll enjoy them. I'm like, okay, not as good as I remember, but all right. And then the next day, I just don't feel very good.
Mhm.
And so then I'm like,
Makes you less
well, I don't
likely
want
to want
to do,
them.
yeah. Then I'm like, well, I don't want to do that. So then I'll go, hey, Chris, can you make carnivore mashed potatoes? And he's like, sure. And so, and I'm like, wow, these are really good. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of sometimes though, I find in my experience, if I have a treat, because it's just something that, you know, me and my brothers will do around the holidays or something, I'm like, well, one, it doesn't taste as good. And two, it makes me feel bad. So then it's honestly, it's almost like, well,
it's not worth it.
It's not worth it. And then I'm not really tempted. You know what I mean? It's almost like I've confronted it and I'm just like, whatever.
Do you know who else has said the exact same thing and has the exact same experience as you, where just over time you just get to where you just don't even want it because you don't feel good and it makes you just not want it? Dr. Barry and Nisha.
See, there you go. Yeah.
That's something they talk about. So
yeah.
Let's see. Jackie said we have a near 90-day carnivore plan. Then for me, let's be honest, arguably self-defeating plan for some splurging over the holidays. And you know what? That's what you got to do. Do your 90 days carnivore, see how you feel, do what you need to do for the holidays, and then go back to what you need to do right afterwards. And we'll be here to support you.
Yeah.
We're here for you.
I think the holidays also too are only a few months out of the whole year.
Yes.
So if you have if through the rest of the year you're doing pretty good and you got a couple cheats right there, you're fine.
Totally.
It's going to be okay.
Totally. I love this. Lynn says, fill up on Chris's mashed potatoes and you'll be too full for desserts. I'm kind of not kidding.
You're not, though.
You are correct. My mashed potatoes, my protein pastas, any of those kinds of things, like they may look like carbs, but they don't act like carbs when you eat them.
Nope.
And they will fill you up because they are pure protein. My oldest brother-in-law, Brandon, the whole family was here. And we all had dinner, and I made some of my carnivore pasta alongside some regular pasta for the whole family. And he had both. He actually liked my carnivore pasta better than the regular pasta with the sauce that I made. And he was like, you're right. He's like, I ate that. And he's like, I had like 2/3 the amount of that as I did the regular pasta. And he's like, I was so full, I couldn't even finish the regular pasta. And he's like, it is so filling. Crazy. So amazing. Addicted to Antlers says a long but powerful morning live stream. Yep. I think we had a good conversation today, and I hope this is helpful for you guys. Jackie says I'm blessed to not have a huge issue with ongoing cravings after a splurge or carb day and can go right back to meat-centric plan the next day. And that's great. That's wonderful. Jolene says, I so need to make the mashed potatoes. You do. Make version 2.0 because they're a little easier, and I think they're probably just as good. Maybe they're slightly different, but they're a little bit easier and they reheat a whole lot easier. So make version 2.0. The video is also a lot better for version 2.0. So it's a lot less exhausting to watch. Well, guys, I think we're going to call it there because we're an hour and 42 minutes in right now. Sorry, I was preaching today, but I hope helpful for you all.
I also, we're going to remind them, but also too, we kind of did a much longer live stream today, but next Monday, just FYI, Chris and I are actually going to be traveling. We're going to be driving to LA from Bakersfield and then getting to the airport. It's a whole thing. So we're probably next Monday not going to have the usual Monday morning live stream.
Yeah.
But if we can, maybe we'll go live at some point, like in the airport or something once we get there.
If we have some good cell phone reception or connection or something, we'll try to maybe just pop in for some live streams and just say hello to you guys. So just kind of keep an eye on it. If we can plan it out ahead of time, I'll schedule it for you.
Yeah.
If not, we'll just make do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but just kind of keep an eye on both channels, and we'll be sharing some updates. So thank you guys for being here. Keep an eye out for the carnivore crostini and carnivore croutons video that will be coming out Saturday on the main channel. Make sure to like and share everything here. Go tell everybody that this Studios channel exists, because without you guys, we have no way of doing any of this. So thank you guys for being here. We love all of you. I hope all of this was helpful and encouraging, and that there's some advice that will make a difference for you. And we'll be updating you on my resistance band, one step to becoming better. So thank you guys for being here. This is Chris Cooking Nashville. My beautiful wife, Ash Taylor, sitting over here with all the great advice. Guys, make sure to eat your meat, love your life, take one step to being better, and we'll be here for you the whole time. And we'll see you guys here in the studio, probably in the kitchen, a whole bunch of other places very soon for recipes, encouragement, live streams, one steps, and more. Bye, guys. Have a good Monday and a great week.
See ya.